Hi, everyone. I'm Nadine Gilkison. I'm one of the District Technology Integration Specialists for Franklin Township Schools, and we're located in Indianapolis, Indiana. If you're tuning in, I'm going to be covering the same PD that I did this morning, which is best practice for utilizing Chromebooks during literacy for grades 3 through 5. And you'll have to excuse me because my voice is a little hoarse. I'm losing my voice from how many model lessons that I've been out doing, which is fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. And on the second slide, it says, where do I start? So I always tell all of our teachers, model, model, model. So if you're going to do something at stations, let's say, you have to start off by teaching the basics of what you want the class to do with an entire cart in the classroom, okay? Because I can't just push something out to stations and expect the kids to do well with it. I need to model with everybody on a Chromebook. Okay, because again, it says what students do at stations that have like 5 Chromebooks or 6 Chromebooks or however many should be based on skills that they already know. They shouldn't be learning something brand new there. Okay, now another skill that I want to touch on is management. So how do you manage having those devices? So first I'm going to talk about with small groups. So what I tell teachers is, you're going to see on my picture here that I've got, if you're sitting at a small group table, always make sure that if you're going to have a small group of students at stations that are going to be on Chromebooks or really any device, always make sure that the screens are facing you. So position them so the screens are facing you and you can glance up from time to time. And that way it's just kind of your self-check to know that the students are doing what you've asked them to do. Okay, so that's for small groups. Now, when you're teaching whole group, I usually crack a joke and I tell my teachers, oh, you guys want to download the 2 Eyes, 2 Feet app. And then I tell them, oh, yeah, that's right. There is no app. Basically, I'm telling them you've got to constantly be moving around the classroom to monitor the screens when the students are on that. Now, if you are suspicious, because if you're walking around and you think that a student across your classroom is on something that they should not be on, and by the time you walk over there, they've gotten out of that tab, and so they're just looking at you like, what? I wasn't doing anything. Here's what I suggest to our teachers. If you are suspicious that you think they were in some other sites that they recently just got out of, then perform this shortcut. Control-Shift-T. By doing that on their Chromebook keyboard will actually pop up all the recently closed tabs. Now, I was out doing model lessons today, and I shared, I didn't share the shortcut, but I did tell the kids when I was in the classroom, I was sharing out these tips with the teacher, and we were discussing it with the class. I'm not trying to hide anything from the kids. I'm just basically letting them know up front, this is what I expect. This is what you should be doing. And if you're not doing it, then I always do like a 3-tier system or kind of like 3 strikes. The first time that I notice that you're not doing what I want you to do, I might walk by your desk. I'm still talking, still continuing my lesson, and I'm going to give a 2-finger touch or a 2-finger tap at your desk. That lets you know, and I know, that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So that's strike 1. Strike 2 is I walk by and again, I notice that you're not doing what was asked of you and you're doing something else during the lesson. If that happens, I'm going to walk by and I'm going to gently close the Chromebook lid, not the whole time, but just for a few moments, just so that you can get yourself together and that way you're back on track with the rest of the class during the whole group lesson. Okay. Now the third time, it's kind of like strike 3 and you're done. And when I get to that point, then I may close the lid. And if I have a student that may get defiant or something like that, then at that point, they may have to put the Chromebook up for a while. Okay. I'm not saying that they put it up completely, like they're not going to use it again for the next so many weeks. That's not best practice. You need because the students want to be on it. And you need them to understand, though, that you mean business. Okay, if you're not going to focus during this lesson, then the rest of it, you'll have to put it back in the cart or close the lid for a longer period of time so that you can get those students to understand the importance of paying attention to what you're doing. Okay, so those are some management things I wanted to start out with. Now we're going to go into different phases. Now, if you watched my K-2 version of this, I called it level 1, level 2, level 3. Now, when I was preparing this, I really feel like that this is actually different when you get into grades 3 through 5. So I feel like that phase 1, you've actually got to finish everything in phase 1 before you can actually do what is in phase 2. So let's talk about phase 1. So in phase 1, in that About tab, I need teachers to have added links to sites that have digital text and also video. So I've got different sites listed on here, a link to Epic, Digital Books, Read, Write, Think, BrainPop, if you have a subscription to that, some schools do, Wonderopolis, my all-time favorite website. The Learning Network is actually connected to the New York Times. It's a division that they have created. Tween Tribune is a great one to find resources for articles. Readworks.org. Over the summer at ISTE, I got to talk to the team at Common Lit. They have some great articles as well. A lot of teachers are familiar with Newsela. Read Theory is another choice. Now, you're going to notice that I have a link to TED Talks, but they actually have it categorized that they have certain sections that are geared towards students. And that one isn't articles. Those are videos. So that's why I said some of these are going to be more video-based, and that's perfectly fine. So that's kind of the first slide of phase 1. So adding those to your About tab. The second half of phase 1 is that I want you in that About tab to have links to formative assessment tools. In our district, I would have teachers that would be adding that as an assignment. So they were constantly re-adding a Kahoot or re-adding a link to Quizizz. And what I am telling them is, don't put that as a new assignment. You should just have that listed under the About page. So when you're teaching, it cuts down on your time to get to that point. And you say to the class, all right, we're going to do a Kahoot now. And then all they simply do, they will be trained by that point to go to the About tab, find the Kahoot, tap on it, and it takes them directly to that page where they enter the code. So again, it's just a time saver. Now, you're probably familiar with Kahoot. That's a pretty popular one, and Quizizz. I did list a few other ones on here, Formative, Mentimeter, and Socrative. Now, there are many more than that. So I have a link right here that you can tap on, and it is Learning in Hand with Tony Vincent. If you're not following him on Instagram or Twitter or on Facebook, you want to follow him because he gives you really good tips. So if you click on that, he actually has a blog post that's going to talk about all of the different formative assessment tools. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but I just like Kahoot and I just want to use that one. And let me give you a reason why you need to mix it up. So as I go out in the district and I go into different classrooms, I start to notice things. And when Kahoot first came out, everybody was oohed and awed. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is just the best thing ever. So then they started giving Kahoots all the time to the kids. And over time, I started to see kids that when the adult would say, oh, we're going to do a Kahoot now, their faces started to change from, oh, excited to, oh, we're going to do another Kahoot. So basically what I've been encouraging our teachers is, I love formative assessment tools, but please mix it up for the students. Okay. Branch out. If you're good at one of those, then start tackling on some of the others. And like I said, Tony Vincent has several more that are listed. So once you have all of these things listed in the About tab, I kind of feel like that's your toolbox and you've got your toolbox all ready to go. Okay. So that's phase 1. Now, some people might try to tell me, hey, I know that you can add these as an app in Chrome. So why isn't she telling us to do that? I am aware that you can do that. I know that that's a possibility. Here's the reason why I tell our teachers you could, but you don't have to. It starts to become where not all of them are apps in Chrome that you can find on the web store. So then if you can't find all of them, my recommendation is just list them all in the About tab. And that way it's like a one-stop shop for a student. Okay. And we are going to move on to phase 2 in part 2 of the video. Okay.